All right, welcome back to Market Day Report. This is the last time we're going to see each other today, folks, but you stick around to the top of the hour. That's 1 Central, 2 Eastern. It's the Cow Guy Close. We got a great lineup again. Super subject to talk about. And, you know, this world's just getting crazier by the second. I call it bizarro world or clown world, but it's absolutely happening right in front of our very faces. So we have tons to talk about. Want to see you there, 1 Central, 2 Eastern. It's in exactly 16 minutes from right now. All right, why don't we take a look at what we've got with the markets, because that's another reason why you've tuned in. Let's take a look at corn. What does that look like now? Going into the last half-hour trade, corn's up 3 cents. That's the March contract. 6.80 3/4 is last there. We're 3 1/4 cents higher in the May. That's 6.80 3/4 last in May. Now look, D's corn couldn't make it up to that $6 level. We're up a penny, 5.96 3/4. The high is 5.97.5. I think soybeans won that trade. Soybeans trying to make it to 14 before corn made it to 6. Soybeans, let's go to March, up 18 3/4 cents to 15.46 even. May's up 19.5 cents to 15.41 and a half. There you go. If we go out to the new crop, let's see what's there. It's probably not going to be a 14, but it'll be close. 13.98 evens last. We're up just over 0.8% on the day. That's 11 3/4 cents higher. 13.98 even in new crop beans. Let's take a look at wheat in Chicago. The Chicago wheat. What does that look like? Well, I'll tell you, we're down 10 1/4 cents in March. That's the front month. 7.55 1/4 is last. We're 2 cents off the low of the day there. May's down 9.5 cents to 7.66 3/4. If we look at the hard red wheat in Kansas City, here we come. 1 cent higher in the March, 907.5. And May's up just one tick, 8.96 even. So that's a quiet board, but quietly better. How about spring wheat? Let's take a look at that. Spring wheat in Minneapolis. That's down by 3 1/4 cents. Across the board, we're off by 2 1/4 to 3.5 cents. 3 1/4 cents lower in the March, 9.27 evens last there. We're about 3/4 cent from the lows. May trading heavy as well, 2 1/4 cents lower to 9.21 1/4, about a penny and a quarter from the lows there in May. Finally, let's take a look at what's going on in cotton. Cotton rallied a little bit here today, but it's given back some of that real estate. 65 points higher in the March to 80.90. That gives me a chance to talk to my next guest analyst. That's going to be Ted Seifried from Zaner Ag Hedge in Chicago. Thanks for being on, Ted. Well, what do you got for us? What are your thoughts here, brother?
Yes, crazier by the moment indeed, Scott. We had a frost event in Argentina, and that comes after all of the super hot temperatures that they were having earlier in the growing season. Makes you kind of wonder, where's that global warming when you need it? But yeah, frost event in Argentina. That is a very rare thing to have happen in the month of February, and it just adds to all the problems that they've been having for this entire growing season. However, you have to say that corn's reluctant to follow kind of suggests that, yeah, corn's not really buying that there was all that much damage. And also, if you look at the soybean complex, right, if there's a problem with Argentina, soybean meal should lead the way. And that's been kind of what's been happening throughout this whole drought, hot, dry talk, where we've been reducing South American or Argentinian production dramatically. It's the meal that is important there because Argentina doesn't really export beans. They export soybean meal. So that means our meal should be more valuable. But today, it's not meal really leading the way higher. It's soybean oil. So it really makes you wonder if this is just speculative buying coming in after a news event that happened on a 3-day weekend. It'll be very interesting to see how we follow this up tomorrow. Because it seems to me, Scott, we've got a fair amount of news that we're sort of sweeping under the carpet right now. For one, that Argentinian forecast looks a lot better for next week. And for two, wow, it really does feel like tensions between us and China are escalating with Biden over in Ukraine and some of the comments that are being made between U.S., Russia, and China right now. Maybe that's something the market should be more focused on, and
Absolutely.
maybe you focus on a little bit more tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're exactly right. I'm going to cover it on my show too today, but pretty serious stuff happening over there, and we'll be on top of it every minute of the day. But I appreciate that. Stay right there. We're going to go away. Got to pay some bills. We're going to come back and talk more with Ted Seifried, Zaner Ag Hedge in Chicago, right after this. All right, welcome back. Let's take a look at what the live cattle have got up behind me on that big board now, right behind my big head. Let's take a look at let's take a look at April live cattle, up 32 cents, 164.97, just not too far from the day's lows, but kind of in the middle of the trade. June's up 67 cents to 160.80, so not a lot going on here. Just call it steady, a little bit better. We're on the right side of north there. Feeder cattle, what do we have happening in the feeders in Chicago? 45 cents lower. That's the March contract, 45 cents higher. Sorry, that's the March contract, 186.97. And we're up between, say, 45 and 70 cents across the board in feeders. April's up 50 cents to 190 spot 95. But look, even the back months, which have the highest price, they're up the most. 70 cents higher in SEP, 211 spot 07. There you go. That's interesting. Finally, let's take a quick peek at the lean hogs. This is the one that's been on fire here today, almost a $4 rally in April, but it's $3.92 right now. 89.20 is last in the April. May's up $2.85 to 97.25. And that gives me a chance to bring back in Ted Seifried from Zaner Ag Hedge in Chicago. Ted, thanks for being on the show. All right, what are your thoughts here when it comes to the meats?
Look at the hogs. Wow. Finally breaking out of that sort of consolidative zone that they had been trading sideways in, kind of at the lows for some time. So this might be a bit of a breakout to the upside if it holds, which, we're coming into the close, so it looks like it will. Now we're kind of in no man's land, middle of the range that we've had for the past 6 months or so. And honestly, I've been saying for a little while, Scott, I feel like this right here is sort of a value zone. I kind of think this is where we should be trading, at least for now. So I like what we're seeing in the hogs today. Do I think we're going to have multiple days of this? Maybe not. But at least for today, it's really pulled us up off that mat and really hugging those lows. So it's good to see. Kind of surprising feeder cattle are up a little bit today, considering the strength in corn. So that's good to see. And it's coming back in those deferred, like you were mentioning, it's really the deferred months. And there's a lot of stories out there how those replacement animals just don't exist. And that's why the super high prices that you see in the deferred month feeders, it doesn't seem like that's going anywhere anytime soon, unless there's a major economic event. Speaking of which, you had cash cattle trading higher at the end of last week. I think you still have some positive influence on the cattle market today, albeit not up sharply. We're holding on to some gains after a 3-day holiday weekend. So you like what you're seeing in the livestock really across the board. I
agree. Perfect timing. Hard rap in my ear, but that was great content as normal. Thank you very much, Ted Seifried, for your great sense of timing, too. He's with Zaner Ag Hedge. He's in Chicago.